All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending where you are. We will slowly begin. Today, just for information, it should be very informal kind of session. So do not expect any kind of a long presentation, book-based. We really want to just share with you updates, share with you experience. That's why, we invited 3 of our alumni from previous years joining us from each program, one of them, Sai from law, Joel from architecture, and Shay from business. All of them, they already came to Prague, they studied with us, they interned with us. Now they are already on the journey in their real life, succeeding or failing. You might, hear from them later today. I kind of think that all of them are, succeeding, but you will see. We would basically like to discuss with all of the topics related to the program. We have already collected quite a lot of questions from you, but if you have any additional ones, there is a special Q&A, basically part of this Zoom call where you can write questions to all of us. So we'll be addressing those. But we have also brought down all of the questions you sent us already when you were registering. So we will try to get to them, at the end of today's session. So today should be maximum for 1.5 hours. I promise it will not be longer. Most likely it will be shorter. We will at the beginning, I will take the stage for a moment. I'll just describe to you the whole program just for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, how the things are happening. And then, we will get to the updates of this year. I think especially pandemic situation would be relevant because almost all of you are asking us on the situation. And then, we will get to all of our alumni, to Sai, Joel, and Shay again. Each of them, they will speak maybe for 5-10 minutes about their field, how, the program was relevant, whether it was relevant, what they learned, how convenient or inconvenient it was for them. We basically were not preparing them in any way, except we set them a limit, how long, they can speak. But otherwise, we were not giving them any details about, what to say, how to say it, etc., etc. After that, we will get also to questions from you. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them even earlier. But I just want to give you a heads up that, we will get to them probably at the end of the session, unless they will be very relevant, for that particular moment. This being said, I hope I covered all of the structure-wise, basically part of the beginning. So if I can basically begin with a presentation of ECCEDU, it's very simple. What we try to do is we are trying to bridge academia and real life. We do it by basically bringing companies and bringing people from the field to basically engage with our students. We do not care about those, big names like, Bill Gates and Elon Musk, because to be honest with you, they probably do not, know the field as much as people who are really in the field and doing it on a daily basis. So as probably all of you know, our programs are typically structured in a way that, initially all of the students study for 3 weeks, and then they do 1-month internships, which are unpaid, which are all around Europe. And yes, that's how the structure is. When it comes to the first part, the educational one, what we care about primarily is to cover topics which are either not being covered by universities or covered too theoretically by universities, and by bringing people from the field to speak about them. Now, important thing is we are trying to invite really people who understands, what they do. So they are, highly credible in the field. But once again, we do not care about those big personalities. We care about people who really understands on a daily basis what they do. And important thing is 100%, I'm sure that, out of those 30 people who will be joining every program, you will hate some of them, you will feel bored by some of them, but you might fall in love with some others, or you might be excited with some others, because when it comes to real business, you will be meeting with people and they will be basically, fulfilling these categories. Not every single project you will fall in love with, not every single person you will negotiate with, you will be extremely passionate about. So I'm sure that some of the courses you might not like. I do remember, for instance, that cryptocurrency program was not really the most popular when it comes to business. But at the same time, we are trying very much to filter So, every single year at the end, we collect the feedback from all of the students, and we basically keep the topics which are, the most desired, most wanted, basically the best, as well as speakers. And we try to let go all the speakers who were not, as successful or as well basically received as others. So this is how we are working with the initial part when it comes to educational courses. Once again, each topic, each course takes approximately 3-4 hours. So it's really like a taster. So by going through M&A of when it comes to ECCEDU, you will not become a biggest expert on M&A. By doing for instance corporate sales, you will not become the best corporate salesman. Or by doing, for instance, I don't know, negotiation with developers, you will probably not immediately be capable to negotiate the biggest deal ever when it comes to real estate construction. But at the end of the day, you should realize what that particular topic is about, whether you are passionate about it or not, and what kind of career path you should basically choose after you finish the program. When it comes to internships, we have basically companies, especially in law, which are positioned all around Europe. We have already also many of them all around Europe when it comes to architecture. But at the end of the day, what we discovered, I don't know why, but most of the students of architecture, they just don't want to travel and they want to stay in Prague. So we were not really securing that many of them, because historically we realized that actually many of the students of architecture, they prefer to stay in Prague. The reasons maybe Joel will share with you a little bit later, we'll see. This being said, maybe just small quick update when it comes to this year. We will be actually trying to keep as many students as possible in Prague for internships. We have enough of them, and the credibility or the brand reputation of all of them is very high. So we do not worry about students being disappointed. The reason why we would like to keep it as much in the Czech Republic, unless students will tell us we are super passionate about going to Germany or Portugal or I don't know where, is the pandemic situation, because sometimes some countries might adopt a different measures how the things can be done there. And so to keep everything on a safe side, it's just better to have near to us, because if something happens, we can always help you. This being said, once again, if any of you would be interested to do internship even this year abroad in any of the European countries, please write us separately in advance, and we will try to secure for you an internship in that country you can go after. Our huge advantage is that we have around 400 companies helping us, so it's really very easy for us to secure those internships. But the tricky part is really we want to make sure that everything will be safe and everything will be of a top quality. Now, when it comes to pandemic situation, once again, we will get to the details a little bit later, because you will be receiving very special letters this year. We want to make sure that you will not need to go through quarantine, but there are so many things that I will leave this part of the discussion for the end, because about the pandemic itself, we will be speaking maybe for 10 minutes. But I think comparing us to 2020, we've got everything, I think, figured out quite well. Just for the update purpose, Sai, Joel, Shen, we have canceled last year. I do not know whether you knew about it. We did it basically because we wanted to make sure that we will deliver top quality and that all students will be safe. So that's why we did not want to risk anything. And all students from 2020, they basically had an opportunity to either go for online or postpone. If I'm not mistaken, all of them actually postponed for 2021, which is also the option which we'll be offering to students if they basically cannot make their journey this year. We have established a COVID policy which is aligned with the global standard. So if students want to basically do it this year, we are offering them either online, like they can arrive in person to the Czech Republic and to Europe. They can study, offline, everything business as usual, as you did it. If they cannot make it, because some countries like China, or it might happen to some others, they might close their borders in a way that students cannot even leave. In those situations, basically, we offer them either, postponement for 2022 or online delivery. This being said, there is still so much information which I would love to share with you, but because I want to keep up to the promise I made at the beginning of 10, maximum 15 minutes of me speaking, I will leave everything else for the end, for the questions, and I will get to the audience, not to the audience, to our alumni, starting with Sai, who was here with us, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago. So Sai, would you like to take it and share a little bit of your experience, how it was for you, what you were doing since then, and basically the floor is yours.
Thank you, Thomas. And hello, everybody. It's a pleasure. So I would actually start by thanking Thomas for giving me this chance to speak about ECCEDU. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So initially, I actually got into ECCEDU through one of an essay competition that happened here, which was conducted here in India. And it was one of the luckiest opportunities I've ever got, because ECCEDU is truly amazing. And I'm I'm being 100% honest with whatever I'm saying here, because this has really helped me with my career. So I would like to start by saying that I had chosen the new technology and business law program, which was conducted in Prague. And the reason why I chose this program over the traditional law cohort was because technology is a very evolving field in today's world. And honestly, I thought that learning more about AI or data privacy or technology related law would help me enhance my career. I was very happy because this was the right decision that I had made, because ECCEDU had offered exactly what it promises on its website, because it says that it has a lot of practical experience. It has a one month program where you sit in a class and you learn all this practically from people who are actually in the field. For instance, I would jump right into examples because I don't want to waste anybody's time here. So for instance, if you have a class on M&A, you have somebody who works or who has been a partner in Allen and Overy coming and teach you something about mergers and acquisitions. If you have something on data privacy, or let's say you have something on technology law where you need somebody's help to teach you how it works in practically. We had somebody coming from Facebook who's actually a regional head in Facebook coming and teaching you what it is to to learn about certain aspects of technology law. You have somebody coming from CNS, you have somebody coming from one of the biggest law firms across the world coming and telling you what that particular field is about. So I always believe that practical experience teaches you a lot more than what books and theoretical experiences can, which is what I realize this even more today when I'm working in one of the top law firms in India. A big thanks to ECCEDU for that, because the experience helped me a lot in my interview back here in India. So I came to ECCEDU immediately upon my graduation. So I finished my law program. I came to ECCEDU and I came back to India and secured a job. That's how the whole process worked. So in my job interview, I was able to talk confidently about what I had learned in my classes here in ECCEDU and my 1 month internship, which I happened to do with Lego. So just to split up both my experiences, firstly, in terms of my classes, as I mentioned before, it was practical, and it was situated in a gorgeous location. There were a lot of people that we met. There were a lot of practical experiences, and we do have points for, let's say, interactions in the class. We have points for so many different things, and you have so many incentives which actually makes you want to learn a bit more. So it's very practical, which was a bit different from the Indian education system and over here. So I found it very innovative and creative. And second thing, it was very motivating, because this is not just practical, or it was not just theoretical stuff. We also had a lot of let's say exercises that we had to do. There were soft skill classes, like there were classes where you are taught about public speaking. There are classes where you are taught about interview skills, where you are asked to prepare your CV, and they actually gave us a technique on how best to do your interviews, which I carried back here in my interviews in India and actually did secure a job. So like Thomas mentioned in his speech initially, a class here doesn't make you the expert in the field, but it sure does tell you what way you can navigate to become an expert in the field eventually in the future. None of us can become experts initially, but you always have to find a way. And that is exactly what I feel ECCEDU helps you with. And another amazing thing is the confidence. So it sort of, makes you want to come out and speak. For instance, on a very lighter note, I still have a sock from Alan Overy that I got as a gift for being very interactive in the class, and I still cherish it. It's still there in my cupboard, and I always get reminded of Thomas or ECCEDU when I look at it, and it's very motivating because I received it from somebody who has been there, who's worked in that field, and who has actually taught us those practical experiences of how it is. So all these were experiences that I took, and this was by class related experiences, the first 1 month. The second 1 month, after the test we took, we went into the internships, and I luckily got Lego, and I got one of the finest mentors anybody could ask for. Her name was Miss Itka. And I learned a bit of I would say how stuff works in a European country, like how the organizational atmosphere there is. It's a lot different from how it is in India. And we were able to do some practical aspects, like let's say understanding how an NDA is drafted. We learned about how we actually got a prelude into some cases which were pending against the company, or how a role of a in-house counsel really works, because Lego, Ms. Itka was an in-house corporate counsel, so she walked us through the processes of what it is to be an in-house counsel, what are the kinds of demands her job generally requires. So these are experiences you will not get firsthand from somebody, even if you're, let's say, interning in a top law firm. People don't actually walk you through and tell you what each and everything is. But I was very lucky, and I was very surprised that here was a mentor who actually drove us in the car every day from our accommodation to the to Lego, which was pretty far away. It was in a place called Kladno, and it's like, I think 1.5 hours, Thomas, if I'm not wrong, from Prague. It was a long drive every day. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and even during the drives, we used to talk about so many different things. We used to talk about culturally how different we are, legally how different we are, and the issues that are in India and in Czech Republic, which was very enlightening. So conversations helped us learn a lot more than even sitting in classes. So that was very innovative. And also, I would say we learned a bit about how to actually, I gave presentations. We were, it was amazing in another aspect, because we were allowed to give presentations before corporate panels. Like in Lego, we were allowed to present on certain legal topics before the employees of Lego. So that was a great experience that I feel that not many people, or many colleagues or fellow employees would sit and listen to an intern presenting on a topic. So that was just amazing. So all these are experiences that I took back, and I actually got placed with a law firm called JSA in India, which is one of the top tier law firms. And only when I am dealing personally with aspects of data privacy, today I'm a tech lawyer specialist in a way. So I'm not an expert again, but I actually deal a lot with data privacy. I have companies and clients, international clients, coming to me asking me to draft a terms of use policy for them, a website privacy policy for them. There are companies which want to merge with Indian companies, and they come and ask me what are the merger procedures. I actually have some materials from ECCEDU that I still have stored in my laptop, and I look into these to understand certain aspects, the global nuances of, let's say, M&A, and let's say how data privacy really works. And if I had not been acquainted to GDPR when I was there in Prague, I would have actually had no idea about GDPR. So I'm so glad that I was exposed to these concepts, because when I came back to India, I could advise my clients on these aspects. I could tell my clients, hey, you know what? You should be aware of GDPR when you're drafting your terms of use or privacy policy for your website. So these are practical things that I do today. And I realized that the program, so even more than while being there at Prague, after I came back and I started working and I started being in this field and being a corporate lawyer and a tech lawyer, I realized how important this course finally landed up being to me, right? So that was very, very valuable. And today I'm regarded as this is really not to beat my own trumpet, but be very, very grateful to ECCEDU, because today I'm regarded as the tech lawyer of the team, And I owe a lot of it to the new technology and law consult that I had here in ECCEDU. So I mean, so this is just my overall experience that I had with ECCEDU, and I'm really grateful. Thank you so much, Thomas, for all that you've given us, and for the amazing way the program is structured. So that's about it from me.
And by the way, when you were studying presentation skills, probably time management of the presentation is something what you really succeeded very well in, because you finished right on time. So well done. By the way, Yitka, who was your mentor at Lego, she's been still remembering you, because I'm being in touch logically with her as well. So you've got at least 2 friends in the Czech Republic who are there with you. But anyway, this being said, because we are today here because of the students of 2021, let's go to Joel. Joel, you were part of architecture. Unfortunately, me personally, I'm not directing architecture in person. There is a Milan Svatek, who is director, who understands very well the field. For your information, of course, you will have also the 10 minutes. If you need more, you can go even for a little bit longer. And just to let you know, there is already one question from the people. They were very interested, what is, in your opinion, the most important skills or advices you would give yourself if you would, when it comes to success in the field. So maybe you can cover it in the main presentation. If you do not get to it, we can get back to it at the end when we will get to all of the questions. But anyway, I'm very much looking forward to what you will say, because I know that you as architects, you were outside of the classrooms almost all the time. So Joel, the floor is yours.
I'm gonna start, ended it by thanking ECC for this webinar and Thomas for choosing me from the architecture program. And I just wanted to ask if I catch it correctly. Are we going to do it this year, physically in Prague? And are they? So yeah.
Yes,
okay,
there might be some small changes and adjustments. I will get to them a little bit later, but otherwise it will be almost like business as usual.
Yeah, hopefully, because my experience, if you ask me now about what I retained from this whole experience, it's just not as much about the architectural field and my improvement in it, but more about my self-improvement, which is even, I think, more important. Architecture is kind of a creative field and everyone sees it in a different way. And ECC has got this point on point, because they had themes from everything that you might be interested in as an architecture student. So, for me, I was interested in urban planning. Other people were interested, in technology. So I think that you will find everything. There's things that would suit everyone, and that's great because you would never be bored. Of course, as Thomas said, there's some quite boring panel. How do you call them? Presenters, but luckily Milan was very keen on the subject and asked us about our opinion, and they even developed the program even more. So I think there's really interesting people that we talked to, and I was very lucky to be part of this program in general. Now, the 3 weeks were very interesting. We also, as an architecture program, got to do a side project and a side architectural project. We took a site in Prague. We planned a hotel, a small hotel in it, which was very fun because we also kind of worked as a team with the rest of the people that were in the architecture program. So we got even closer. We got to work creatively and know each other's opinion. I even got to know people's way of studying architecture, from Brazil to I don't know, the Czech Republic, and it was very fun. I think that project itself was very fun because we eventually also presented it for some people to see it. If you remember, Thomas, was it in the urban where was the place?
The final presentation, the task assignment?
Yes.
It was basically at the Institute of City Planning of the city of Prague.
Yes, which was a huge thing, I think, for me, like to go there. And I think this whole experience gets you to really know everything in like personally in the country. And it's not like you're going as a tourist there. I have been in so many places and I never scratched the surface. Here it felt like I was really part for like a while in the culture, and it felt very nice. And I met some people that I wouldn't have otherwise. So so that's the project. The lectures, as I said, were very interesting. And as I said, it was placed in a very beautiful building. It was the University of Law, I think, in Prague, Charles University. And it was very also fun and interesting to be there for a month. And then we get to the internships. I think this is where like I hit the jackpot, do you say? Because I was third, I think, in the test, and I got to choose Justico and Wise as an internship, and it turned out to be now my job, which is awesome if you ask me. During a pandemic. I'm currently in Lebanon, so still I did manage to get the job. So I think this speaks a lot about the opportunities that you can get from ECC. Of course, I realize that this is like not something that, hey, if I join this the program, this will lead me to this place. But it definitely would give you a push, and it would give you like the sort of skills and so on to, pursue it yourself, because it's not going to do it for you. So I am very thankful for ECC for that. I never thought, like when I joined the program, that I will be here. I took it lightly and like in a fun way. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to learn more about architecture and people's opinion on it. But it really can lead you somewhere life-changing. So it's not like a big word to use. This is actually what can happen. And yeah, so I interned for a month with the team, and they were very nice people. Again, a very international office that I was very proud to intern at the first place. So things happened. I was kind of I think I left a good impression, and I tried my best to do the internship as good as possible. And thankfully, they remembered me when they got a project, and they contacted me. And sadly, the borders are closed. I couldn't join them till the moment, at least. Hopefully, borders open soon for work visas, and I joined them. But otherwise, I think like it has been perfect for me, and I owe it all to ECC, to be honest. The question about how to be successful in architecture is a very I don't know, relative question, because like, what do you consider success in architecture? Like Zaha Hadid success, of course, I wouldn't be able to tell you, since I haven't reached any of that yet. And I think like to be successful as someone who just graduated like a year ago, because I went to the program before my final year. So then I did my thesis, and then I graduated, and then I got the job. So success as a graduate, I think, to earn a job or get a job that they are happy to be in, and work in a great environment and have a great reputation in that office, for example, that's success for me at the moment. And how to reach that, or even if you want to like to have success in your architecture school and projects, I think. And I also owe it to ECC, because now like it's the holy grail for me. It's to network. I think that's the most important thing, because for me, an architecture school, I wasn't like the top one, or I wasn't doing like crazy projects or so on. I was just networking. And ECC also like gave me this huge amount of people to talk to, not even from architecture only. Like you really do not know who will eventually be a life-changing part of your life. So I think to network in your field also is very important. And I think like something that we in architecture are always not caring about is time management and giving yourself the time to, like, I am totally against the all-nighters and working this hard, because you eventually like lose your own personality and self in the whole project thing. And I think developing your intrapersonal skills is very important, because generally I have seen that the most interesting people at offices and you know, most interactive people are the one who worked on their interpersonal skills. So I think it's even more, I would dare to say, it's even more important than design skills. So yeah, that's my advice, my modest advice. And thanks. That's it.
Well, thank you so much. It seems that all of you are absolutely perfect when it comes to time management, really. We'll see how Shay will do, but I deeply appreciate everything what you said, and I would like to highlight just the networking part and the cross field, how to say, understanding, because I'm feeling that when it comes to deep dives, like when it comes to understanding of the field, becoming expert, you will have tens of years to really become masters in everything. You can read so many books, visit so many conferences, but when it comes to the most crucial part of learning, it comes from people being around you. So and it's not only because of business, because of course many of them might become your clients. I know, for instance, from we were speaking with Sai and legal field, that many of our students, they already even started cooperating with the law firms where they interned, not necessarily as employees, but they were, for instance, referring clients to each other. When it comes to architecture, it becomes even more tricky, but because projects are all around the world, and Milan, who is also in the audience, the director of architecture, he knows quite a lot about it, because he spent I think 40 or 50 years traveling the world and working all around. But we can speak about this for a long time, and I'm pretty sure that Shay is already waiting for his part. So let's go to Shay and to business program. And once we are finished with business program, we will get to the discussion about everything. We've got already quite a lot of questions coming. So Shay, enjoy your 10 minutes. I'm very much looking forward to those, because I received quite a lot of how to say positive reviews on your performance when you finished your study here. So Shay, it's yours.
Thank you. So once again, I want to thank Thomas, and also something we shouldn't forget, the whole team that works in ECCEDU. They also require thanks. They do a lot. They go above and beyond to make all of this work as well. So thank you, Thomas, as well as your team. And I had a whole set of different things that I wanted to talk about, but thankfully Sai covered a lot of it, because the business and the law programs do have a lot of overlapping in terms of whether the format that the speakers teach you, what they teach you. And sometimes we even could, as business students, a lot of times actually, we could take their courses and then they would be forced out. So you can do that as business students, just a reminder. But so she covered it. So I want to take more of like a contrast to what Joel and Sai talked about, and make it more of like a personal thing, or like what you can do as they talk about the whole networking and stuff. So some of the things I want to talk about is that your networking shouldn't just stop in the program, and it should continue all the way during your internship. And as Joel mentioned, how it helped her out later on, you can take this and like apply it later as well, whether you're back in your own country with the law firms, or whether you want to go back to Europe, whatever your plans may be, they can still support you. And I want to also tell you not to limit the networking to just business-wise, because sure, that will help you greatly in terms of your career and opportunities that you will meet, but also in terms of sort of bonding and making friends as you're there, and enjoying the moment, and remembering to further your career. But at the same time, this is an experience that you're going to want to remember for the rest of your life. So for example, I became very good friends with Joel, and we were completely different programs. We had nothing in common in the beginning. So you do get that opportunity if you take that networking to more of like socializing as well. So do remember that as well. And other stuff that I want to talk about is that, for example, because this personally happened to me, it has been a rough ride. It has been up and down. Thankfully, it's starting to finally be on the upside of things. I'm freelancing with a company called Art Dubai, and I'm in the talks of becoming a permanent employee with them. And I'm doing my master's right now in marketing. But initially, if you join the program and you come out the other end, and sure, you're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to create a network with people and stuff. But if you face obstacles and setbacks and stuff, I want you to remember that it's not going to be the end of the world. Even COVID happened, but we're still making it work. So don't give up. Don't just push yourself down. Don't bury yourself under the stress, the depression, whatever that may come to you. And these are things that you should use ECCEDU to remind yourself that, hey, I did that because I was at a as I said, facing obstacles, and I just kept reminding myself that, hey, I went to ECCEDU. If I could do that, if I was working well over there and learning new things, I can keep doing that even if I'm facing obstacles right now. And so on a personal note thing as well, during my internship part of ECCEDU, after the program part, so originally I had always envisioned my career to be in, what do you call it, in business management or hospitality management specifically. But after experiencing the way that, for example, some of the speakers were teaching us their skills, their own experiences and so on, and then working in a different sector, because as my bachelor's was in business management, but I worked in marketing and business development during my internship. And these things sort of opened up my eyes about maybe how I want to change my career or completely take it in a different approach, which is why right now, because of what I experienced during ECCEDU, I've started to do my master's in marketing, and I eventually plan on getting a PhD and being able to sort of mentor others and try to teach them. And so these things in ECCEDU, if you go with it with a certain goal, still try to keep yourself open to having different experiences that may come your way, or life-changing revelations and epiphanies that you may experience during or after the program. So these are things that you should sort of keep your eyes open and keep your mind open to as well, because if you shut your mind to that and say, no, this is what I'm going to do, then you might sort of stagnate yourself and stay in the same spot. And honestly, once again, I want to just testify to what Sai and Joel said in terms of like the speakers that we had, because I have had a lot of great professors in universities, but it's all just theoretical, or it's based off of what they've read or what they've learned from books and this and that, or seminars and so on. But the speakers that you get over there, not only are you capable of, as I said, networking with them and forming a bond, even if you do not want to go to their company for an internship or even later on, whatever it is, right? You still are capable to, during the class or after the class, take them aside if you're willing to do that. And this is, regardless of the points that they give you for the program and stuff, you just take them aside and you can start engaging in a conversation with them and asking questions, and whether it's about the business, whether it's about their job, whether it's about the company, or whether it's a personal question that you have and you just want to, you face an obstacle or you've hit a barrier and you want to see how they would solve it. So this is sort of like the classes that we had with, let's say, interview skills or presentation skills and so on. So you can take that and then just apply it to every other course and every other speaker that came there. Sure, some may not be, as direct or as helpful as the others, but a lot of the speakers that Thomas brings to the program are very great, and they're very experienced and very skilled, and they're very willing to speak to you. And if they're only supposed to speak to 2 hours, they're very welcoming to stay for another half an hour, then another hour, if they have the time to talk to you on a personal note, and then teach you whatever they can to answer your questions and so on. So please do be willing during the program, or even in your internship, to engage with whoever you can, and learn from them as much as you can, because that's the whole point of this, teaching you as much as you can in a practical manner, not just, hey, this book says 2 + 2 is 4. No, we want to actually gain hands-on experience, practical experience. And since thankfully Sai covered everything, I want to end mine short. And the last thing I want to go over is to sort of, as I said, you got to go out of your comfort zone and not let yourself be left with regrets. Because thankfully, although I don't have many, or actually even a few regrets from the stuff that I may have done in ECCEDU. The only regret that I do still remember is that during my internship, and this is not even like really furthering my career directly or anything, but I was invited to lunch with a few of the directors at the company who I was interning with, and they invited me to lunch with them one of the times. And I was so focused on the, the business, the tasks that I have to do for the day, the thing I want to finish, and I want to be on time, and that I declined the offer. And then, even though it's been 2 years, I still vividly remember how I declined it, and it's been, one of my regrets. So, as Joel said, like, yes, focus on your business, whatever it is, but at the same time, don't overdo it to the point that you lose yourself or your personality, or you create regrets for yourself later on in life, or just later on, even if it's a week later. So get out of your comfort zone. It's difficult, but that's why you're going to this program. That's why all of you have chosen this. You want to get out of your comfort zone. You want to learn new things. You want to experience new things. So during this thing, just let it all loose, let all the shackles loose, and experience everything that you can, and try not to have any regrets left. And I think I'll just end it on that note. And thank you for your time.
Shay, thank you so much. I'm sorry to be hearing about the lunch you missed. So maybe, if it happens that you will one day come back to Europe, to Prague, maybe we can reconnect, with the people you you were with, and we can repeat that, the lunch. And if it happens, it's on me. But this disclaimer being said, actually, another one is coming. I realized, that you've got a logo of ECC EDU behind you. So just for the students, we are not paying any money to Shay. He is not, unfortunately, associated in any way with the European Center for Career Education, aside from being one of our students a couple of years ago. But we offered to all of the three of them, Shay, Sai, and Joel, our background, if they would like to put it basically behind them for today. So once again, this small disclaimer that, there is no bias, or there should be no bias. Joel?
My disclaimer is that background usually on Zoom doesn't work with my hair, so it kind of doesn't read my hair. So I was like, no thanks. That's it. That's why.
Completely get you. Like, I've got a very similar feeling, and today I'm deciding one startup competition, the final round, the most prestigious in the Czech Republic, and also I do not want to face similar troubles you have. I don't have, such a big, how to say, we do not have similar hair, but it happens to me as well. I don't know why. But anyway, putting this aside, because, this is not the main topic of today. Shay, I really appreciate it. This is how, when you were speaking about the lunch, it's how we are thinking about most of the classes, like, or, the interaction with speakers, because when we, for instance, design corporate leadership, corporate leadership should not be about coaches or mentors coming to students and, repeating books. What we always want to do, we just want to invite, 2 or 3 CEOs, regional directors, people who are in charge of, those thousands of people, or scale-ups, just to come and share experience, how it is for them to be actually the one being ultimately responsible for every single decision. Do they like it? What does it mean? Is it about driving, fast cars, or is it about, working 24 hours a day, or is it about, having lunches, like 4 of them every day? Like, it's very difficult to learn authentically how it is to actually be, a corporate leader. So this is how we are, thinking about this one particular topic, which goes very much aligned with what you described, going to speakers after, the lecture, and just asking them, how it is to be doing marketing, for the last 20 years. What does it mean? Like, and how it's been even changing, because when you think, for instance, about a topic like digital marketing, 10 years ago there was no Facebook. I like this comparison. 2 years ago there was no TikTok, and a couple of weeks ago there was no Clubhouse. So it's just, digital marketing, for instance, it's been changing, so much. And every single field, is being, has been changing like that. Maybe when it comes to law, it might be a little bit slowly. But this being said, it's very important to basically bring really people from the field who are there right now, because then you can get an idea about how it is. This being said, let me just end, like, we've already collected quite a lot of questions, so I'll try to go through them. Shay, Sai, Joel, whenever you will feel there is something how you can contribute, just unmute yourself, and I will try to give you the floor. But the first topic I need to address, because we had many students, asking us on the pandemic situation. We are interviewing all of the students. So many, to many of them, we already communicated this issue, but it's very important to be updated. So when it comes to pandemic situation, first, how it looks like overall. We as Europeans, we were performing one of the worst a couple of months ago. So, that's something what we were not really proud of, but the situation is, being actually has been improving quite rapidly, especially in the Czech Republic. That's why, why I want to keep as many students as possible in the country, because we have it more under control. So the situation was, in spring 2020, we were one of the best performing countries in the world. Then, in the autumn 2020, we were one of the worst performing countries in the world. And now we are basically coming to the best position again, because we are having only around 3,000 new cases per day, which is a relatively small number. And what is more important, over the last couple of weeks, it's being basically decreased by approximately 30% on a week-to-week basis. So the decrease is really, very, very quick. The situation, of course, is unpredictable in a way that nobody knows what will be happening in 3 months. That's why we were trying to secure basically as predictable treatment as possible for all of our students. So we have actually went a long way, because we have made an arrangement with the Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. So what will be happening, the Minister of Commerce of the country will be issuing a letter for every single student who will be applying this year. This letter will give a status of the person of national interest to all of our students. And with this letter, our students will be accepted by all of the Czech embassies all around the world. So what will be happening is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the second one, will notify every single embassy our students will be coming through this year in advance. And they will tell to the embassy that they should treat all of our students with a special treatment, and they should basically accept their visa applications. So to all of the students, listening to us right now, if you contact an embassy right now and you will ask them, can I apply for the visa? What do I need to do? They will always tell you, you cannot apply because the embassy is closed. Once you will have that letter in your hands, in that moment, the embassy will be already notified. They will accept your application. And the only important thing is to have your papers right. So you'll need to submit the papers as usually you would need to do it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And as long as all the papers will be okay, I mean, the flight tickets, typically bank account records, what else is there? Accommodation, which we secure for you. Then you will be granted with the visa, and you can basically arrive to the Czech Republic very safely. This being said, now the coordination details when it comes to pandemic. We have agreed with the ministry that we will try to take it more structurally and really systematically. So it will not be like a chaos when we will be sending every week to the ministry, 2 or 3 new students, and they will be issuing the letters. So it will be happening in a way that we will operate in 3 waves, and we will basically put all the students who are registering and who are paid for this year into one of those 3 waves. These waves will be happening at the beginning of May, at the end of May, and for the last few students who will be, as always, a little bit delayed, we will have a special last wave sometimes around the 2nd week of June. It will be the last, and I would very strongly suggest all students certainly not to go with the 3rd one, because I think you might then not be capable to secure visas on time. And I would even not suggest you to go with the 2nd one at the end of May, because everything will be rushy. You need to do everything perfect. You will have little time and little room for the corrections. So the best case scenario would be, to have the tuition fee paid by the end of April, because we will put you into the first group of students who will be applying this year. And in the 1st week of May, you will receive a letter from the Ministry of Commerce. And this letter you will send to the embassy when you will be applying for the interview slot. The good news should be that you will be one of very few people this year who will be actually heard by the embassy. So it should not be so difficult to secure an interview slot comparing it to the years before. Because once again, for ordinary people, the embassies are closed. So this is how we are thinking about, or not thinking. This is what was confirmed and how it will be happening this year when it comes to our programs, our offline programs this year. This being said, I think I covered questions from many of the students because they were in one way or another touching this point. But if you feel there is anything else related to the pandemic situation or visas, please let me know. Now, there is one question from Julie, actually, which I will try to take a little bit earlier than others, because it is related to what I was speaking about. So Julie was basically asking, in case of international students or local students in Czech Republic, besides being able to have visas or not, how are you going to ensure the safety of the students? Specific measures. It goes, very much aligned with also governmental regulations, because all around the world you have many, many things which are allowed, many things which are not allowed. So there are certain restrictions. So what we will do, without saying, is that we will comply with all government restrictions. So what will change comparing this year to the previous years will be that we will not have that big party at the beginning, because Sai, Shay, as well as Joel, they probably remember the opening reception. That was being held for approximately 400 people. And I do not feel very confident to be holding a big party like this at the beginning of this year. So what we will try to do instead is that we will try to organize small networking sessions where you will be more individually mentored by our speakers, where you will have an opportunity to meet even with people who will not be speakers this year, but we will try to make it more restricted. Aside from that, our expectation is that when it comes to outside gatherings, almost everybody is expecting that face masks will not be, will not be obligatory. The Ministry of Health actually announced that face masks will be voluntary in summer. We still do not know whether, how it will be when it comes to outside or inside gatherings. But to be on a safe side, we are thinking that we will try to hold most of the classes outside if possible. So it will also ensure that the risk will be minimized. And I think in summer the weather in Prague is actually quite okay. So unless it will be incredibly hot, we will try to be outside. If it be too warm, too hot, basically, we will try to keep it inside. Or also, what we will try to do is we will try to limit the number of students we will be accepting this year. So probably Sai still remembers how we were flooded with students in the classroom when it comes to law, especially. So this will not be happening this year. We will be accepting, in my opinion, approximately half of the capacity from the past, not because of the internships primarily, but also because of the pandemic situation, and we want to be on a safe side. So we will be accepting limited amount of students. And aside from this, I think everything else is quite okay. The dormitory is already booked. It's being very clean. If you want to see the dormitory, I think we already shared the link to it, where we try to keep all of the students, so you can get an idea. And I think those are like the key points when it comes to the safety. Because to be honest with you, even if you are in your country and being 100% time locked inside of your room, still you need to do shopping sometimes, and you never know who touched what and where you can get infected. So basically our way of thinking is we will do our maximum to keep everybody safe. We are sure that all students will be capable to arrive, and the only uncertain thing is whether not whether, but how many classes will be happening outside, how many inside. But more outside, more Harvard kind of style it will be, because I absolutely hate to be learning inside. This being said, that would be a question from Julie. Then, oh, okay. There are many other questions coming when it comes to pandemic, which are pandemic related. So there is one more question which is related to vaccinations. What is the scopes of students being vaccinated and coming to the program? Which is also related to this. When it comes to vaccinations, for us, we will not be checking vaccinations, because students without either being tested or vaccinated, they will not be allowed to enter the country anyway. So, you will need to be either vaccinated or tested. Otherwise, there'll be no travel. Once you arrive here, it's basically, it's, how to say, I do not want to say free game. If you feel, in any way tired, sick, anything, of course, we'll be in touch with the hospital. But once again, when the numbers are getting quite okay, and in summer, I think it will be even better. But it happened to us in the past. I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that some of the students, they got sick and they had to, for instance, travel back. It was not fault. It was not a serious disease, but we've got already some experience with the hospitals. So if it be needed, we can basically make sure that, you'll be treated properly. But once again, it's absolutely essential that you secure also the health insurance. Without health insurance, again, you cannot even travel. So that's why, we are quite on a safe side, because many things the embassies are actually checking on our behalf. And then there are two questions which are very much interrelated. And both of them are asking how the internships will be held. Guys, I mean, Sai, Joel, Shay, again, I'm more thinking now about the formal side. So that's why, I'm not speaking as much, with you. But our way of thinking at this moment is we are having more than 400 companies, supporting us. We do not need that capacity for this year, because once again, the capacity, the total one, will be limited. So we will be primarily allocating students to the companies which operate fully offline. Just to give you a perspective, the Czech economy was not stopped at any time. The only thing which was happening in the past in Europe, in the Czech Republic, was that employers who had employees who are allowed, or for whom it is possible to work inside, who are capable to work from home office or online, they were recommended to basically work from home office or from basically home. But all of the other companies, all of the other employees, they were normally working. So the Czech economy never stopped, to be operated. That's why, it should not be such problematic to send you to the companies to do an internship. What happened very often, or what's been happening right now, most of the companies, they are testing their employees on a regular basis on COVID, which is keeping everybody safe. It's a very logical tool. If it happens that you might be tested, of course, all of the tests are free of charge. So the companies will be paying for those tests, which you will be taking. Some companies might be having most of the employees on the home office. If it happens, those companies will not be offering internships this year, because it might be too problematic for them. So we will try to basically make the cuts in a way that all of the companies offering internships this year will be offering primarily internships which are offline. It might happen that some of the internships might be, for instance, 1 day or 2 days in a week online. But at this moment, once again, we want to confirm internships which will be fully offline. This being said, I think I covered this point. And then there is another question which I consider very, very relevant, and that will go actually to our alumni. I will try to shorten it. It's coming from Davina Diamanti, and she's basically asking how difficult, how demanding the internship was. Was it about 2 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 8 hours a day, or 7 days a week, kind of internship? Now I'm rephrasing a little bit the question, because it was posed in a little bit, extended version. But basically, how do you feel about difficulty, how demanding it was, how much time you spend there? Who would like to take it first?
Do I? For me, I think we were asked to start from 9 and finish at 5:30 in the office that I worked at, I interned at, I don't know if it depends on the office, but I think this is like 7.5 hours that are expected from us. So I think they are kind of half your day, right? But the good thing about Prague is that even after 5:30, the sun is still out and you feel like your day has just started. So, right, like I felt this and I'm not feeling it here, but I noticed it in Europe. It's just that you don't have to worry about like missing out on sightseeing or so on, because I managed to do both. I ended up like finishing the day being super tired because your day is just so long. So I think that's 7.5 hours. And I even stayed a few times depending on the project because it's architecture and sometimes there's deadlines. Even if I was an intern, I had to stay sometimes. No one forced me. I was just so interested in the stuff going on. I was staying till sometimes 10 with the team because I enjoyed it. So, you know, this is just architecture. I don't know about everyone else, but like 2 times, you don't have to worry. And also you don't have to do it. So yeah, that's it.
From a business perspective, I want to talk about like, so there's obviously always a mentor that will try to guide you, help you out, but at least in the business program part, because you know it's sort of it's not very much like architecture where they have deadlines and this and this. I mean, they do, but sometimes new clients come in on the go. So sometimes there may be like 2 or 3 or 4 days that you might not interact too much with your mentor, but they will still get back to you or try to interact with you. And then for the hours, generally you can say it's just office hours, and then at the end of it, it comes down to the company and how they manage it themselves. And yeah, as Joel said, like if you're coming from a country like us and like, you know, Dubai or Lebanon or something, or like maybe even India, I'm not sure, where the sun sets quite early on, yeah, you'll be like, oh, my day's wasted. But in Europe, the sun's up until 8, 9 p.m. So you still get to do stuff after that as well.
So from a legal perspective, we had from a very typical office hours was between 10 to 5. Also, it depends on the traveling time. That was a bit higher for me in specific because, as I mentioned, it was in Cladno. But in general, my peers, my other people who were studying with me, they had only like 15-20 minutes traveling time. So it was ideally between 10 to 5. And with regard to the stress level, there's absolutely no stress. It's completely your personal interest, like how Joel mentioned. It's the interest that you take. So there were a few nights that we did stay up trying to get the presentations out, but there was again it was not out of compulsion. It was completely because we wanted to do it ourselves. There are no deadlines. There are nothing like a test or something that you take up the next day that you have to stay up for. So it's very chill. It's very light. Nothing to worry about, and it's not at all stressful.
And if I can follow up on that, so generally, you know, in Europe, I don't even need to speak about Czech Republic. Ordinary working hours are 8 hours. But you know, nobody is right now. It's not like 30 years ago when you start at 9 and finish at 5. Most of the people basically, you know, they work sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes they work half day, you know, from work, and then they go for home office. So in principle, I think, you know, most of the companies, they expect that you'll be in the office for the regular working hours, as you know, all of our alumni basically mentioned. But it might vary. Joel, I did not even know that you were working until 10. But I understand the logic behind it 100%, because I normally work until 2 a.m. On an ordinary basis. But anyway, this being said, one thing which I actually realized and which might be important, Joel, you spoke about, you know, enjoying the city, enjoying the atmosphere, coming back, you know, when the sun was still up. One thing which I would strongly not recommend for the upcoming year, and might be a difference comparing it to the previous years, considering pandemic, would be to be basically going to bars and having too much fun in the dancing clubs, etc. My expectation is that they might be opened, they might be closed, nobody knows. But still, we would strongly suggest, you know, this year's students to maybe enjoy a little bit more of a countryside or sightseeing of the city, or, you know, different kind of fun instead of closed bars. But that is just something what I realized when Joel was speaking about, you know, coming home and still being, you know, like being half in the day. So this being said, let me just get back to questions again. Oh, Sai, go ahead.
I think, Thomas, this would be the perfect year for Kingdom Come and for Castle Games. Thomas, by the way, organizes amazing castle related events where he will escort you or he will take you. You can actually go and play castle games and Kingdom Come and all that. So I think Thomas is the perfect year.
Thanks. And by the way, this is something what we try to do, you know, every year in a way that, you know, many things they can be you know, prepared in advance. But you know, the best moment is when all the students come actually, you know, in person to Prague, and we can talk to them. and we can brainstorm about, you know, what they are passionate about. You know, would you like to go to the countryside? Would you like to see some history? But, you know, I'm speaking about free time again, because, you know, the key thing is, you know, we know that students are not paying us little money for joining the program. So we need to make sure that we deliver on the know-how, the experience. So, you know, every day they are like brutally intensive when it comes to educational part, because literally it's like 8 days of listening to somebody speaking about something what students typically have no idea about. And, you know, you need to be focused all the time, because the internships are also assigned on a competitive basis. So, you know, if you do not listen, you have no other way how to learn what was covered during the class. So we know that after 3 weeks, most of the students, they are super tired, but still, you know, we are very excited about doing, like, going extra mile. So, you know, if they are interested to travel somewhere, we would love to help them. If they are interested to go somewhere, you know, outside of the city, we would be happy to give them advice. We are happy to organize, you know, like that castle, you know, experience I went through, or, you know, one of the most popular free time activity every year is something similar to Fort Boyard, where basically students come to one place and they compete in different, you know, disciplines. It's like a lot of fun, but all of these things are, how to say, non-mandatory. So if somebody is a bigger fan of museums, you can go to museums and you can so see museums instead. And when it comes to museums, you know, you don't need us to really guide you, except buying tickets. But Sai, thank you very much for this comment. Now, I'll try to get back to questions, you know, from students. There was a question about internships and whether it's common for companies to basically propose you know, further cooperation or a job to students. I will try to answer, you know, from my perspective, and then I would be happy to also give space at least to Joelle, because she is the one who actually, you know, continued, you know, on this journey. But, you know, from my perspective, it might be quite common or actually frequent when it comes to IT program, which, by the way, is a new thing. So when all of our alumni studied, we did not have any IT. We'll have it now, and all companies are super excited about employing our graduates. When it comes to architecture, I would say it's possible. When it comes to business, I think it's possible, but not likely. The reason is that, you know, most of the companies, they operate locally, and still the language might play a role. When it comes to law, I would say it's very unlikely that directly that company will offer you a job, because there are different, you know, legal systems. But at the same time, I do believe that the network you will carry with you might bring you a work, external work, or, you know, external resources along the way later. So that is, you know, how we are thinking about it, because every field is very different. I still remember my conversation with one of the most famous architects in Prague, and initially he told me, "Oh, there is no way, you know, for us to be employing students who are from the other part of the world." Because, you know, they are thinking about architecture differently. They just don't have the patterns we have. And the first year, what he did is that he employed our students. So anyway, this is just the story which I have. Joelle, go for it.
So is it Sean?
I'll tell you later.
Okay, okay. So yeah, the question is it possible? Well, for me, it happened, but to be very precise on how it happened, as Thomas said, it might have been for the office when they welcomed me to join them in the internship, that I'm just here for a month. You know, I would do like very light things. I wouldn't get too much into the details of the projects and so on, because there's also like information that the office cannot share with whoever just joins them for a month and leave. That's why, you know, your internship will be light, but also it will give you what you need for exposure and leaving a good impression, right? So I have my friends who were also in the architecture program, and I know, for example, Elio, who's my friend from Lebanon also, who joined the team, who also left a great impression on the office that he worked at. and they were also very interested in him joining back. It's just that he had other plans for his future, you know, so that's another example that could have been also possible. There is also, I know also, oh my God, I forgot the name of the office. Chapman Taylor, was it called? Also,
It's one of the offices, you know, we work with, but I do not know whether it was this one.
yeah. Also gave out a job opportunity to Natalia. I forgot the name.
Let's say to one of our students.
Yes, to one of our students, but not in Europe, in another part of the world, which is also great because you can, you know, get an opportunity outside of Europe or the office that you interned at. So I think it is possible, but it also depends on you. And it also depends on the economy in general, because if it wasn't for that project, for example, in the office that I interned at, they might have just not offered the job. They would definitely not have offered the job. So it depends on how they are getting projects, if the economy is helping them, and if it happens that you were the last person that interned at their office and you're still in their head, they will just remember you because, hey, we tried her and she's quite nice and she knows like things, and she's, you know, she has been interactive and so on. You would like, you have to have all these things ticked, you know, and it might happen. And if it doesn't, you're at least having European experience at in your CV, so it will help in, you know, in another country, your country. And yeah, that's my opinion on it.
I just want to add something that when Joel mentioned that there was an architecture student that got employed by a company, but in a different country. So that's also possible with business from what I remember. But as Thomas said, it's possible, but not very likely because, for example, the company I personally worked with, iLevel, they do have an office in Dubai, but compared to their main office or other large, you know, branches across the globe, it is a very, very small, minuscule office. I think they employed only 5 or 6 employees. So it is possible, like you can, the chances there, but it might not happen. So even for business, that you know, taking it and then working, if it's a big, large international brand, you might be able to work with them back in your own country and somewhere else. The possibilities there.
Yeah. So, you know, 100%, you know, I agree with what Shay and Joel basically mentioned, because I think, you know, even if you do not get a job, the most important thing is what you are taking with you. And I would say it's like understanding of the real life, how those fields really operate, because then you can go through the interview, you know, much smoother, because you understand what those people are actually thinking. Because, you know, at the end of the day, professors are not hiring people. People are being hired by managers, by people who are in the field, and you need to understand what is important for them, what is going through their mind in order to succeed on a job interview. And more importantly, you know, you need to make your, how to say, story unique. You need to distinguish yourself from others. And then, you know, when you have an internship in Europe, it might be a nice pitch. It's not everything. You need to be hardworking. You need to do all the other work. So, you know, we will not secure for you something automatically. But the fact, you know, the fact that you did internship in Europe for a month with a company which is, you know, prestigious, real, credible, and then you have the understanding, you know, you understand how sales operate, how you know, digital marketing operates, how supply chain operates. Those are skills, you know, which otherwise you will not have, and you can nicely pitch and basically pitch yourself to the company very differently than all other students who will just say, okay, I was one of the best in my class or the best in my class, I got this scholarship and that scholarship, and I studied, you know, somewhere abroad, LLM or MBA. There are literally thousands of students like this. So it's really about distinguishing yourself. And one more thing, what Joel mentioned, the exposure to the people. Like, you know, if your skills are transferable to the company and you are there for a month, and if you make a good impression, those people would be crazy not to give you an opportunity. But the question mark is, you know, you need to, like, nobody will be hiring you just because you did our program. You need to be a good fit for the company in that moment in order, to get an opportunity. But sometimes it might happen that you will, it might come even in 5 years or 10 years in the future, because companies are expanding globally. So it's just about the network, which was already, I think, quite covered when we were speaking earlier. Network is these days about everything, and it is not about people or people whom you have an email to, but it is about people who also know you from the other side. So that's why the references are very important, because it's authentic, that those people really understand you. And that's why, for instance, even the reference letters from universities and professors are not even taken seriously very often anymore, because many students are actually writing them themselves, and the professors, they are just signing them. And this kind of practice is, quite well known, all around the world. So this kind of authenticity is very important. Now, this being said, we've got already so many questions, and we'll need to finish in 10 minutes. So, all questions which will not be covered today, I promise that we will try to get back to the students sending them. There is one question which is anonymous, so I will try to get to that one first. Shay?
Sorry, just to add one thing before I lose thought of it. Another thing that you can use that Thomas sort of mentioned is that you can use the connections that you make, even if you can't directly use them to get hired or something, as a reference later on if you're going to another interview or something. So the networks that you build in Prague with the internships or through the program, you can use them as not just like a recommendation letter, but an actual live reference that they can contact through email or via phone, and then ask about you and how you are.
Can I also add one single thing?
Go ahead,
that's
go
very
ahead.
important? Yeah, the fact that I worked with them in August, or was it July? Doesn't matter, that month in 2019. And in October 2019, it's a very important thing to tell you about, which was kind of like my first semester in my thesis project. I contacted them to ask if they may have any openings when I finish my thesis, and they said no. And then in summer they contacted me in summer 2020 to tell me that they have an opening and they think that I'm suitable to be joining the team. So you see, it's not like they just immediately gave me this, and it wasn't like I just think that it happened because of multiple factors that were okay at that point, right? So yeah, that's important.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's like, there are so many stories, and you three, Shay, Joel, Sai, you just represent 3 of our students, and I'm pretty sure that if there would be 3 other students, it will be completely different kind of feedback and feeling, and how they got to where they are. But anyway, this being said, I said that we are running a little bit out of time, so I'll try to get back to some of the questions. There is one question, whether the students will have official status of students in Czech, and whether they can get IC cards. So to answer this question, because our programs are short-term, and the status of the student in the Czech Republic basically requires you to be there for at least, I think, half a year, the status of the student in the country you will not get. But if you are interested to get IC card, you can actually bring it all the way from your country. If you need any assistance when it comes to securing it, we have actually global partnership as ECCE with a provider of IC cards. So if you have IC card, you can even get a discount for our programs as a holder. And basically by having your IC card from your country, you will be provided with all of the students' discounts and everything if you possess it. I just wanted to answer this question because this was the only question which was anonymous, and I wanted to make sure that we will not miss it. This being said, there was one question where I feel I need to clarify. It's coming from Ria, and it is related to the timeline of the application for this year. So basically, what we strongly suggest is to have the tuition covered by the end of April. The reason is very simple. If we have the tuition covered by the end of April, it means that you will be part of that first group of invitation letters from the Ministry of Commerce. And then you will have 2 months to apply for visa, to secure accommodation, to basically all of the homework. If you basically wait and you will apply, and you will be provided with letters at the end of May or, in the middle of June, everything will be very rushy. I'm just sharing the experience because we already had quite a lot of students, and they were regretting because then they arrived a couple of days later, 1 or 2 weeks later, and it was just because they did not do the homework in advance. So that's why, I just suggested to have the payment done by the end of April. The reason why I'm mentioning the payment specifically is because when we are issuing our letter, there will be two letters. One visa invitation letter coming from ECCE, and then one letter coming from the Ministry of Commerce. When we are issuing both of these letters, we need to make a statement that the tuition was already covered and that students have the accommodation secured for themselves. Otherwise, the letter will not have the substantial value for the embassy, and you might struggle with your application. And we basically cannot lie when it comes to any letters we are signing underneath. So unless we have the tuition transferred, we cannot issue the letter. If we do not issue the letter, you cannot basically apply for the visas and to the embassy. So that's why I was working with this kind of a timeline. So this question being answered, if there be any clarifications needed, there are two of my colleagues when it comes to student affairs in the audience, Binur and Yana. So you can get to either of them later. I think all of you are already in touch with either of those two, so they can also assist you when it comes to details. Now, there are many other questions. When it comes to maybe one which is also relevant when it comes to accommodation, Gabe is asking, whether she can basically secure the accommodation herself. Of course, you can isolate yourself in this way, but at the same time, I was checking with the dormitory yesterday, and it seems that they will have a lot of capacity and there will be actually quite a lot of space. So even if you want to secure an accommodation, which will be a little bit, for you and you only, because you are afraid of, social interaction, I would still suggest you to get in touch with us, because we already had in the past some students who were securing accommodation on their own, and very often after a couple of days they came back to us and they were asking us whether they can still, move to the premises we typically offer. Once again, for us, it is not important. It's just a matter of convenience, because when we do field trips or where we do weekend trips, we typically send the buses to the dormitories of students. And if you live somewhere separately on the other side of the city, then you will need to travel for 1 hour or half an hour to get to the bus. So it's just a matter of convenience. If you want to stay in, I don't know, Hilton, you can book Hilton, and we will work with this information, no problem. This being answered, what else is there? Criteria, this is accommodation. Okay, maybe last question. Yeah, this is actually a very important question, and it will be the question on which I'll finish on. It is related to international internships. The remaining two questions, which are there from Gabe and Kwang, we can answer later. I'm pretty sure there'll be many other questions popping up. But the question is, if we are wondering about having internships in another country, is it possible to do it this year? And what will be the options? I would like to answer first, how the process will be happening, and then I will give the floor maybe to all of our alumni to basically close and basically comment how they were deciding on their internships, whether to do them abroad or in the Czech Republic. I know that all three of you did your internships in the Czech Republic, but at the same in the same case in the companies which are very global. So this line of thinking we will open very shortly. But before, my suggestion for this year: every single student who is very passionate about having an internship abroad, please let us know this information, because once again, we will be confirming most of the internships for this year in the Czech Republic. But if you write us and you will let us know, I am really passionate about doing internship in, once again, Germany, France, Portugal, doesn't matter. Make a choice, choose any European country, maybe except Monaco and Malta. We will try to basically secure it for you. So, you'll be happy with your internship. But once again, be prepared. It might happen that the borders of that particular country might close or might be limited when it comes to traveling. The likelihood is low. I would say the likelihood is like 2, 3, 4% that, countries will keep their borders closed in summer. Last summer, just to give you perspective, I was traveling all around Europe. I visited last August around 120 different places just in August in Europe. But if it happens that they will be closed, we will basically allocate you to Czech Republic But if we have the information that you are passionate about having your internship abroad, we will individually try to secure it for you. This being said, I would like to give the floor to all of our alumni. One by one, you can just highlight how you are thinking about the selection of the internship, why, what you would recommend, and then, if you have any final note, please bring it on. And then I will close with very last questions and comments from my side. So anyway, let's start this time the other way around. So Shay, you will go first, then Joel, and then Sai will finish.
So for me, honestly, when it came to whether I choose it inside Prague or outside of it, or not even like other countries, just within Czech, but outside of the Prague, I can't really say I really paid that much attention to it. That was just like, sort of like out of convenience. And the friends that I had made, in ECCEDU, like Joel, were staying in Prague as well. So I was like, I want to stay in Prague. So I'm just going to mark all of them out. And then when it came to the other internships that were available within Prague, because I was, I think, the first person who got to choose it from business. I personally chose it because of two main factors. One, I prefer to work with larger companies rather than smaller sort of startup companies, because I had the opportunity to work with two of them that both wanted me. One was a startup, one was a very large company, which is the one I ended up choosing. And for me, it's more of like, in a startup, you'll get the chance to do a lot of things yourself. Sure, that's there. But at the same time, in a larger company, you'll get the chance during an internship like this to learn from a lot of people those same things. And I feel like early on in my career, I might not get the same opportunity to work in such a large company as much as I would get the chance to work in a startup. So that's why I chose that. And the second main factor was the speaker who had come from ILO. I forget his name right now. Something's yeah.
His name was Slaven.
Yes, thank you. So Slaven had come, and then I really liked his personality, the way he taught, the things that he spoke about. And for me, it's more of like a personal thing where I need to, if I want to work something, with something like that, I really usually try to choose someone or look to someone who inspires me, or someone who I can sort of like think of, oh, this is someone I want to be, or at least try to be like, not obviously duplicate them, but try to, gain whatever I can from what they know and their experience and stuff. So the other, main factor was the impression that Slaven left on me.
Okay, so for me, I think it started by the fact that I just, as Cheyenne said, didn't want to leave my friends in Prague, and everyone was kind of deciding on staying in Prague. I think all of us were deciding on staying in Prague for a simple reason. We just didn't want to pack much stuff and move to another place. And Prague was so nice. We wanted to see more of it. And it felt like, hey, let's just focus on here. And we went on weekends to see like other countries, which was great. And I think that's why. But if there's an opportunity to work from home, or like a remote job, I think I would have gone to Germany or other places. I think all the offices are kind of interesting, and there's like I think I would have, because at that point when we were deciding which office to choose, we were very, very confused, and we wanted to go to Germany or other places. Again, for me, it was Germany, but we stayed in Prague, and there were a lot of interesting firms in Prague. And why I chose what I chose, I think I did my research on what I don't know, like the ethos that align with mine, and how, like the workplace and the environment that I felt like it would suit me and my future plans. So that's important. And there's usually this idea that this office is more important than this one, and this one is like kind of it would give you more exposure, which is like a total myth. It was proven by everyone that all the my voice is gone. That all the offices are really beneficial for everyone. So I think that You just have to do your research. Do your research and see which office suits your aspirations more. So that's why I chose Justico, for example. It depends. So yeah.
So personally for me, I was only thinking about what would look the best on my CV when I came back to India, because I was very sure I was going to look out for a job and not do a post graduation immediately. So I only looked at what would look the best on my CV more than which place it would be. So I would recommend anybody who wants to look into a internship to see what they would need. Like if you know, like for instance, I was very sure that I would either want to get in house or into a corporate law firm and not go directly into core litigation practice. So I was very sure. So I took something that would benefit that. So I looked only from that perspective. And the second staunch factor was the fact that, like Joel mentioned, it was impossible to want to leave Prague because that city was just beautiful. The moment you step into the city, you don't want to leave the city very soon. So if given a choice between, let's say, two amazing companies, one which was in Prague and one which was, let's say, in Berlin or something, I would have still gone and chosen Prague for obviously the convenience factor. So these are the two factors. One is what would look the best on my CV, and which company would suit my need, and secondly, the convenience. But we didn't actually miss out on any traveling. Like for instance, I traveled to Germany. I actually went to other places out of Czech Republic as well during weekends. So you can always catch up on the place. What matters is your convenience and your what you've really come there for, right? So I think on that basis is what I made my decision.
Sorry, one quick last remark, and also because I think your visas are for 3 months, but the internship doesn't last 3 months. Even if you don't make this is like a personal note thing. If you don't get to really travel because you're busy or you know for whatever reason you don't want to do it, after your internship and the program's done, you always you have the visa, so you do have the chance, which is what I did. I traveled to a bunch of other countries in Europe, so you can do that as well.
Shay, it seems that now I'm a kind of almost outsourcing, through you my work, because this is the first thing I wanted to mention. The fact that, even if you do not do internship in another country, European Union works in a way that once you have a visa issued by one country, you are allowed to enter any other European country. Now, unfortunately, aside from Great Britain. But these levers, let's not speak about them for a moment. What I wanted to mention, and it would be the last part from my side. There is a question from Loic when it comes to reservation of accommodation and how it is happening. So basically, the accommodation, once again, we are putting you in touch with two of our dormitories we work with in a moment when we have basically covered the interviews and once we receive the tuitions. So basically, it works in a way that the dormitory is the first interaction you do, because we want to make sure that you've got it secured. And so most of the students who applied for 2021, they have their accommodation already booked. It's fully refundable. So if you decide that you would like to postpone for 2022, you do not need to worry, because the dormitory will return you the money. This is a special arrangement we made with them. And what is happening then typically is around May and June, we will start to be reconnecting with all of the students coming in 2021. And we will start to be discussing you with details. Do you have the accommodation booked? Do you need a phone number? Do you need a transportation card? When you will arrive to the Czech Republic? All of these things we basically discuss from the second half of May until basically your arrival, because the thing is, it doesn't make any sense to be discussing them earlier, because you have probably no idea about when you will be arriving. So that's why now most of you who already applied and paid, we are not in touch with you more intensively, because the only thing you need to figure out are visas, and the visas you will secure once you have the letter from the ministry. The letter from the ministry you will have either in the first week of May, at the end of May, or in the middle of June. This is something very specific, for this year. If it happens this year because of pandemic that something does not work, my expectation always is, let us know as soon as possible, especially get to Binur, because she is in touch with most of our students and coordinates. If you have any problem, connect with us, let us know what is the problem. We will try to solve it. It might happen that some of the embassies might be confused because it's not common that students have this special status of people of national interest. So once again, it's very important to be communicative. This is something what you will learn during the program, that you need to speak, and that's how you connect with people, and that's how things are being done. This being said, I know that there are already many other questions coming, because you are writing us all the time during the session. Unfortunately, we are already 10 minutes behind the schedule, so I'll need to finish it here. If you have any questions, feel free to write us. If you would like to connect with Joel, Sai, Shane, we would be happy to put you in touch. I hope they will find time to answer you, because they were absolutely amazing. This being said, thank you very much for joining us today, because I think with neither of you I had an opportunity to speak with in the last 2 years. So I'm very happy, to have this chance to be really speaking with you, and I'm hoping, to have more and more opportunities in the future. So thank you very much. And on this note, I will close today, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing in person with all of the students listening to us today, or who will be listening to us later. And hopefully one day, sooner rather than later, all 3 of you will come back to Czech Republic or to Europe in general. Have a great day wherever you are at this moment. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much.